It usually just. Well,
He heard you.
I have magic powers. I didn't even do anything. I just thought it.
The Zoom all-knowing wizard. All right, so I'd like to call to order the planning board meeting of September 22nd, 2021. I think first order of business probably has to be voting me in as chair.
This is Christy Anastasia. I make a motion for Meredith Randolph to be voted in as the chair of the Mountain Desert Planning Board.
Second.
All those in favor, Christy?
Anastasia, aye.
Dave?
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, aye.
Okay.
Meredith, you need to vote.
I do. Okay, yeah, I'll put up with it. Aye. Do we have any meeting minutes to review?
No, they're done. I just need a final edit.
That's great. Third matter of business is a subdivision approval application, section 4.1, pre-application procedure for subdivisions, sketch plan. So first of all, Christy, do you want to give your little spiel?
Oh, the Zoom spiel.
I don't know. I mean, we're half hybrid, but I guess we should give the Zoom spiel.
Yes. This is a hybrid meeting, but it does include a portion of Zoom. So while we're on Zoom, we ask folks to mute when you're not speaking. We also ask folks to try to have the conversation within the meeting as much as possible. We do reserve the chat function for virtual folks to sign in, so we have a record of their presence. And I won't mute anyone unless there's some weird noise coming from the background. And as you might have noticed from the conversation in the beginning, this meeting is being recorded. And we can hold like another 450 people should they come.
Do we have all of the appropriate advertising that was needed for the subdivision application?
Yes, the sketch plan site visit was published in the September 9th Mount Desert Islander. Abutters were notified too, but they were not required to be notified. Not for a sketch plan. But we didn't hear from anybody.
Okay. Does anybody feel they have a conflict of interest? None heard. We will continue. So let's have Tracy. Do you want to tell us about the site visit?
Certainly. We met at the site and observed the property. We walked around the perimeter or witnessed where the flags were located. We were in the company of agent from Haley Ward, Jeff Tunison. Thank you. And we walked around the building, and it's a 2.15 acre parcel that's being subdivided off of a larger existing parcel with the intent of being sold. So, do you have anything else to add, anyone?
I would just add that it was flagged, which was nice. It made it easy for us to see the property lines.
Would you like to give a presentation in any way for the record?
I can certainly do that. I'm Jeff Tunison, land surveyor with Haley Ward. AC Fernald and Sons owns a large parcel on Route 102 Main Street. And we're proposing, and there's an existing building and parking lot on the premises right now. And we're proposing to create a lot that's 2.15 acres, meets the road frontage requirements around this existing building. The Fernalds plan on selling this lot. We are doing an amended subdivision because there was a subdivision that was created previously. And that subdivision is also, we also provided that to you folks. And that subdivision was recorded in the Hancock Registry of Deeds in 2013.
So the relevance of the subdivision was because you have the Kittredge building that has multiple businesses in it, correct?
That's not the reason for the
No.
subdivision, no. The
Oh.
reason for the subdivision amendment is because there was a previously approved subdivision back in April 2nd, 2013. And then it was amended and recorded April 23rd, 2013. If you may recall, Meredith, Fernald's leased an area for the cell tower up behind this property that they're looking to cut out. And then also they conveyed a lot out to Bangor Hydro. And then they retained the rest of the land. So with the lease of the cell tower within that 5-year period, because it's either for sale, lease, or by dwelling units, that's a subdivision.
Ah,
And so the reason why this is an amendment is because they're creating another 2.15 acre parcel out of the larger piece that the Fernalds retained.
which is almost 30 acres.
Yes.
Okay. So the original subdivision was driven by the cell tower.
Can you say that again?
I said the original subdivision was driven by the cell tower.
Correct.
Okay. And so this is just a review, so we don't really have a checklist or anything. We're just seeing if we'd object to things and.
Yeah, right. You're just looking at it to see if there's any red flags or anything that might jump out that you might like them to modify or provide more information on. I mean, eventually you'll go through a completeness review, but
Right,
it'll be the next meeting.
this is just a quick.
Yeah, that's just looking at to make sure when you saw the site visit, that the lot was marked, so you can understand where the property is that's being proposed. And making sure it at least has proper lot size. And nothing just kind of jumps out at you guys on that.
No.
I do have one more thing to ask. It's typical when you do an amended subdivision that you don't necessarily show all the other lands and the other properties that were on the original subdivision plan. Our plan is showing the new lot at a larger scale, so it's more visible, with an amendment note that it amended the original subdivision plan. And I just want to make sure that we don't need, I want to know if you folks want me to show the entire parcel or if the plan I provided was adequate. It's adequate for the Registry of Deeds. I would like to know if it's adequate for the planning board.
Do we have a copy of the subdivision?
You have a copy of the 2013 subdivision.
Yeah.
And then I gave you a preliminary plan showing what our plan's gonna look like. It's more of a blow up of the area. I just wanna make sure that I'm providing you with what you're gonna want. And I can go either way.
Kim, do we usually, when there's an alteration to a subdivision, does it usually need to include the whole entire subdivision or just the area that's impacted?
Well, you've done it both ways in the past. So where he's already provided the 2013 plan that's been recorded, if that's acceptable, because that will be in the file, and then just show the inset of the acreage that's, or the lot that's being conveyed, just, and that will have more details for you, if that's acceptable. We do need to have a list, though, of the abutters within a 1,000-foot radius, which we can help you with. That you can have on a separate sheet, that you don't have to have on the plan, but you should put the immediate abutters, though.
Yes, I will,
You
yeah,
know,
Yeah,
across
yeah.
the street, like you
Absolutely.
typically would.
yeah, across the street too.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's, I guess, the planning board call, I'm just,
Okay.
It's a planning board call if we ask for all the abutters?
no,
No.
if you were looking for just the inset of the lot that's being conveyed and not provide all the other lots that are part of the subdivision, if you are okay with just the 2013 plan that was submitted to show what the subdivision was, and then he's gonna show you what the new lot's gonna look like.
What do you all think? Do you want the plans to include the whole subdivision or just a smaller section in detail? Dave, what do you think? You've done a lot of subdivisions.
Either way is fine with me.
Christy?
I usually like to see the bigger picture, but it's not the sword I'm gonna die on.
Tracy, do you feel strongly?
No, I don't. I'm satisfied with what is provided here.
Yeah, I think what's provided is good enough. Anybody else have any thoughts about what he should include? Does anybody see anything that's missing or?
Well, he's gonna supply you a lot more information when he goes through the completeness review.
Right,
He's gonna have to show you sewer, where existing sewer, the side, all that stuff. He'll show you that when you guys go through the completeness review of section 4.2.21, 2, 3, 5, 6.
it's kind of funny because most of the times when we have alterations to subdivisions and the cutting off of a lot, it's the lot that isn't developed that they're selling off, whereas this one, it's cutting off where all the development already is.
Yep, it's an unusual one,
Yeah,
because it's already developed. So
Right.
probably a lot of the stuff that Jeff's gonna submit, it's gonna probably be not applicable.
Yeah, I have all sorts of questions of like, well, how are you gonna get up there? But it's not really relevant to this now, is it? Yeah.
But he'll go through it and he'll submit it, and I'll look at it, and if there's anything in there that I feel you guys in the past have reviewed and require, I'll let him know.
Sounds good.
When will I have that to you?
Well, the next meeting is October 13th,
Yeah.
this Friday, if you want to go to that meeting. 10 copies of everything. Other than that, the end of October.
The 27th.
27th. I'll see a calendar to be able to tell you when to submit. I'll let you know tomorrow.
All right.
And then the board only meets once in November and December
Okay.
because of the holidays.
So is our work done here?
It is done here. Are you all set? Okay.
Well, we don't have anything to vote on, so
No, it's not something we vote on. It's just an informal discussion. Now, when you submit for completeness, it'll be 150 for the application fee and the one lot. So, and then the sections of the completeness review and section 5 and 6 of the, 5 of the subdivision, and then section 6 of the land use zoning ordinance, which a lot of that would be not applicable. Because it's already developed,
Right. Okay,
okay?
thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Good night.
Jeff.
Thanks.
Have a good night.
The next order of business is a conditional use application, approval application from Gray Lawn LLC, application 019-2021. Applicants is Acadia Outdoor Center LLC, Robin Hanson. The agent is James Whitehead. We had, first off, do we have any conflict of interest? Without any heard, how about appropriate advertising?
Yes, this was advertised September 9th in the Mount Desert Islander. The butters notices were sent out September 8th. And I did not hear from anybody.
We had a site visit at 4 o'clock that I went to, and since I was the only one there, I will report on that. After buying a sweatshirt. Let's see, so the location of where they want to put the indoor climbing wall is around the back of the building. They have a garage door. Presumably they have a garage space underneath. It's on a very steep slope, the building, Seal Harbor. The road tends to be have a steep slope not far off from the road. So we went around the back so the garage is sort of underneath the building, but at grade back there. There is a large empty town lot. So there's a lot of space down there, but not all that much space for this lot. And so they're going to take out the garage door and they're going to blow through the floor above so that they can get a, what did you say, 21 or 24 foot climbing wall?
Approximately 23 and a half.
23 and a half.
Yep.
So we spent most of the time discussing traffic and parking, I would say. Obviously, since none of it's built, we're just sort of looking at the outside of the building, and there are 2 parking spaces back there. And I guess most of it was a discussion really on traffic and parking, which is largely a Seal Harbor problem. Jamie, do you want to give a little presentation of?
Sure. I mean, I guess the application really speaks for itself. We, well, first I'll say, and Christy, to your point earlier about the limit of the Zoom now being 400 versus 100, I think that may be in response to the first time we were in front of the planning board when people kept getting bounced out because people were coming on to hear about what we were doing. I think I would just say anecdotally, the fact that no one is on this one speaks to, I think, how the community has embraced, both the summer and seasonal communities embraced what we've done and our parking and what we've added to the community there, and the fears of congestion and traffic related to our business were, I guess, unfounded. So far as the climbing wall, I think the application speaks for itself. If there's any questions related to that, we're happy to answer them.
My name is Tracy Keller. I'm a board member. I'm interested to know what the other than 23 and a half foot high climbing wall, what the other general dimensions are to the interior of your building space.
The entire building or the section of the building where the climbing wall will be located?
The interior of the building that you're going to use for all your functions, which I guess is the climbing wall area. I'm just curious, since I was not able to attend the site visit.
Got it. Well, just so I'm sorry when you say functions, you just mean people there climbing?
Yes, so you have your application speaks of it being um, available for different groups to meet and utilize. And I was just wondering what the spatial component is for that, since it's sort of a meeting place. So
Got it. And I think the way, in not understanding the application and its purpose fully, we were sort of inartful in how we and maybe advocated for the wall in the incorrect way and created a misperception about what it is, right? So what we're asking to do is to have a 10 route climbing wall in a space, and I don't know the square footage because to the Meredith's point earlier, we're cutting the floor out, so it's going to be a double high ceiling room, but the room itself where people will be climbing is 24 and a half feet wide if you're facing the building, the back of the wall, and then the other wall is approximately 14 and 14.75 feet.
okay.
In our application, we talked of groups going there, and we talked a little bit about this in the site visit. I would almost think of it as if someone's asking you to have a restaurant, and they say, well, at our restaurant, we're going to have, we're going to, have parties of 10, or we're going to have birthday parties, or we're going to have groups there. It still is a restaurant, right?
Mhm.
What we were merely doing in the application is saying, groups are not going to come and meet at our space or hold meetings or hold things like that. We're going to have designated times just because we've been asked. So year-round residents of Seal Harbor who are older have asked if we would designate a time once a week when they could come use the climbing wall in absence of kids running around, right? So it's akin to if you have a pool and you have designated adult lap time because you don't want kids there. So when we were sort of designating the different groups, that's all we were referring to is the members of the community that have already approached us to want to use the wall for that purpose, the purpose of using the wall.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Does that make sense? Sorry, it was a long answer to your question.
I think it's might be a concern with the size of the space, which on the floor, in the floor plan isn't very large. And just also actually, I mean, we discussed it a bit on site of that you've got 10 climbing routes. So there's definitely a limit to how many people you'd want climbing at once. Those people, it's sort of a safety concern of, I think it might tipped things off, celebrations and group nights and things like that. And the combination of this really being a group gathering space with an activity that really needs space and not too many people underfoot. I don't know if in the application we may end up just wanting to discuss that. I don't know if that's our proximity to sort of state a maximum occupancy. Kim, is that our realm? Seems a clear, like that's the safety issue of how many people do you have in the room when you've got people 23 and a half feet up, well, 22 feet off the floor and on belay.
Well, I don't think that's their jurisdiction, but I will say, once they receive approval, they'll probably, through state fire marshal, that will limit the number of people in that area.
And Meredith, as we discussed when you were there at the site visit, we're going to self-limit to no more than 6 climbers at a time, even though we have 10 routes. And if anyone's familiar with the Camp Beechcliff wall, it's in size and scope, it's very similar. And in fact, we're using the same, if it's approved, the same contractor or vendor that effectively built their wall is the same company we've been talking to and has provided the design for our wall as well.
Does anybody have any questions before we just dig into the checklist? None heard. Let's see. 6A.1, compatibility. Physical stuff. Oh,
Shouldn't
yeah.
we
Find it
application complete
complete and
and open it to the
use
public?
the short form or long form and then
You gotta open it to the public.
Yes, good points. So do we find the application complete?
I make a motion to find the application complete.
You need a second? Tracy or Dave, you got a second?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
All those in favor, Christy,
Anastasia, I.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and Meredith Randolph, aye. So how about a motion to use the short form?
Christy Anastasia, I make a motion to use the short form.
Meredith, you gotta open it to the public.
Can I do that next?
Any public comment?
Do I need to withdraw my motion?
Well, I was just doing that next. Is that a problem?
Well, typically after a description of the application is discussed by the applicant, then you open it usually to the public for a public hearing, and then you close it, find the application complete, then you go into your deliberations.
Okay, so I officially make the application open to the public. So I suppose then I need to start right off with are there any comments from the minimal public that we have here?
Any comments from you two? No? Okay. Then you close the public hearing.
Okay. Closing the public hearing. And now can we have a motion to use the short form?
Christy Anastasia, I make a motion to use the short form.
Tracy Keller, oh, okay. Dave's got it.
Dave seconded it. All those in favor, Christy,
Anastasia, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and Meredith Randolph, aye. So now. This. So we have compatibility 6A.1.
Did you approve it?
we want a motion to approve before discussion.
Oh,
Yeah, we do. Okay.
Sorry to interrupt.
So can we have a motion to approve the application?
That's what we need right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I make a motion that we approve this application, Anastasia.
And a second?
Dave Ashmore, second.
And then we pause and we open to discussion, which is going through the checklist. Okay, so back to 6A.1 compatibility. Physical size. Do we have any comments on the physical size?
Meredith, which section are you? What are we in? 6?
6A.1.
Okay, thank you.
This will not alter the size of the existing building is the comment.
Great.
Yes, that,
Oh,
Yeah, he also indicates the size, 24.5 by 14 3/4 space will be used for this area.
yes. He didn't, yeah, we'll take note of that. Visual impact. it will not change the visual impact of the existing building. Not from the outside.
Okay, are we doing the short form or the long form?
She's doing the short form. Meredith, usually through with section 6A1, the compatibility, you go through all of them, but then you vote on the end.
And is the checklist that you sent me, is that the short form?
I sent you two. There's a long form and a short form I sent you.
That's why I'm getting confused. Okay.
It's the second one of the attachments, I believe.
Got it. Okay. I thought there were two forms to go through. There we go. Okay. So on the short form, it's just compatibility. And then 6A.2, erosion
Yeah.
sedimentation control.
Yeah. Well, you usually go through all of 6A1.
So we go through all those line items.
Yeah, but then you vote.
Right.
Ideally, on all of them.
On the agenda.
In the end. Yep.
All right. So the compatibility is visual impact, proximity to other structures. It isn't a new structure, density of development. Oh, I can also follow the application. Any comments on any of those? Should we say see application?
Mhm.
I have too many things open. Here we go. Erosion and sedimentation control. Did you say, Kim, did you say that we vote on each 6A.1, a 6A.2, or do we just go to the end of all the?
Yeah, you go through all of them.
Okay. But we don't have to vote on each individually.
No, because you usually determine out of all of 6A what's applicable.
Okay. Erosion and sedimentation control, I would say, is not applicable.
Correct.
6A.3 is highway safety. I would say that's
applicable.
It is applicable.
And you can see Mr. Whitehead said that DOT looked at his proposal, or reviewed their proposal on the 30th of August and determined that the climbing wall addition would not cause unreasonable congestion or unsafe conditions. I did email Mr. Kosobud, who's Craig Kosobud at DOT. I wanted to make sure he understood what the application was applied for, because I had concerns with all the uses too that you brought up, Tracy. And I never heard back from him, so I would like to have that a condition to make sure he's okay with it.
Does everybody agree? I mean, yeah, we can make that a condition. Just to make sure that the information is clear. So impact on town services.
Okay, so highway safety was C application.
C application, and well, how do we put that in the notes? That we have a
You can
concern.
say, see notes below.
Yeah, okay.
And then approval,
It's a condition of approval, so we'll put that at the end.
you can put C, but yeah, you can put C note below. which actually will be a condition.
And I've added it to, as a note in the conditions already, so
Okay.
impact on town services.
6A.4 is impact on town services. It doesn't, they say it does not have an impact on town services. I guess I feel like the only impact it would have on town services probably is just the same, the DOT, the impact of parking and congestion if there are, depending on the sizes of the groups.
So is that not applicable or C application?
The application, wouldn't you say same as the last one, see notes below?
Are you asking for a condition on that one?
I guess I'd say it's the condition will impact the same, it's both DOT and town services.
No, this is for water and sewer,
Oh, whoa, okay.
and the building's already connected to town sewer and the water district, so that's not applicable as far as I'm concerned.
Okay. So,
But that's not my call, it's your call.
oh, yes, I thought it was just anything that impacted town services. I wasn't thinking specifically utilities, so I would agree that it's not applicable with its utilities.
So
There's-
it's not applicable.
Yep, not applicable.
Land suitability,
I'd say NA.
yes. 6A.6 is outdoor lighting. That doesn't seem like that's applicable since it's no change.
No,
to-
it is applicable, they're gonna be adding.
A light.
A light in the
Oh,
back.
I see. So C application,
Yes.
Thank you.
6A.7 stormwater. Now that's got to be not applicable.
That's not applicable.
6A.8 vegetation, that is definitely not applicable. And 6A.9 dust, fumes, vapors, odors, and gases. And this, all the changes are inside, so that shouldn't be applicable either, correct?
Correct.
I have a question to pose regarding the town services, and it's not anything, I am not opposed to your project at all. I just want to ask, because of the nature of climbing, I have not been to your property, my apologies. But I noticed that you have parking spaces down below, and which made me think, the town ambulance services, is there ample room for, if you were to suppose you had a need for an ambulance to come there, is it easy for an ambulance to get in and out of that space?
Yeah, behind the building is actually the access for the treatment plant. So there's a big driveway down there, and there's a big dirt lot, empty lot. So it's actually it's quite spacious back there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a full size road driveway thing.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Okay, sorry. Thank you, Meredith. Continue.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's any concern to that point, only it's a town lot and they don't seem to use it, and it's just wide open gravel. But it's a lot that they don't have control over. And what if the town didn't decide to make it parking or decided to put a building on there? Would we, in that application, have some relevance of access to the backside of this lot? I guess
No.
they have a right of way.
It's, so Meredith, from the site visit, and if you're looking at the site plan, the driveway, the portion that's open that goes right to those garage doors, which would then be the large double door manway doors for the climbing wall, that's not the parking. So that'll always be open. So an ambulance could literally pull right in there. The 2 parking spaces behind are where the current landlord's pickup trucks were, which don't impede that access at all. So that area that you saw that's well enough wide for a fire truck, for an ambulance to get in, that will always be open, and that is on our property.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Yep.
Good question, Tracy. So that is 6A. Do we have a motion to? Finding in facts presented in the application by the applicant. The findings of fact, I would say, are C application. And conclusion of law is that the standards of the application are met. Does anybody want to make that a motion?
This is Christy. I make a motion that per the application, the findings of the facts have been articulated. And what would it be? The conclusion of law is that the standard has been met.
Wait a second.
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
All those in favor, Christy?
Sorry, I had to let my dog in. Christy, aye.
Tracy?
Tracy Keller, aye.
Dave?
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith Randolph, aye. All right. You're on to 6B, specific performance standards, agricultural NA, air landing site NA, excavation fill NA, fences and walls NA, sign regulations NA, wireless communication NA, animal husbandry NA, mobile food vendor. Can we have a finding in fact and conclusion of law motion for 6AB, saying that it's not applicable?
Well, are you going to have a sign for your business?
He says, and
One
Okay.
on the front already. We will not be adding an additional sign for the back.
Okay.
So I think what you need, Meredith, is a motion that the section of 6B, no, sorry, 6A. Where are we?
No,
6B.
6B.
We're on
Okay.
B.
Yeah, 6B. As articulated in the application are the findings of fact. And the conclusion of law is that the standard is met or is not applicable. Is there anything in there that was even applicable?
Don't see anything that's applicable.
I know, so
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing the motion. Something is really
oh, it's
loud.
probably me flipping my paper. I'm sorry. It's probably my paper flipping. I mean, I'm just sort of wondering if the motion is that, based on the information in the application, all of 6B is not applicable. Do we ever do that?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, then that's my motion.
Anyone want to second that?
Tracy Keller, I'll second that.
All those in favor, Christy,
Anastasia, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, aye.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Meredith Randolph, aye. 6C is shoreland zoning standards, and that is NA. Because it's not in the shoreland, right? It's not in the shoreland in any way, is it?
Yeah,
So do we have a motion? Christy, you want to do that again?
I'm gonna have to flip paper. Hold on. I make a motion that the shoreline zoning standards 6C, the land use standards 6C are not applicable.
Does anybody want to second that? Come on, Dave.
I second it.
Dave, you're not on mute. Go ahead and second it.
Dave Ashmore, second.
All those in favor, Christy,
Anastasia, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and Meredith Randolph, aye. So then we are on to 5.9.
Is that? Oh,
It's
not applicable, Meredith, because it's a subsection of 6C.
okay. Christy, you're on. Make that motion.
I so move.
5.9 is not applicable.
Yes,
Anybody want
5.9
to
is
second
not.
that?
Dave Ashmore, second.
All those in favor, Christy,
Anastasia, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Meredith Randolph, aye. So now we are back at the beginning. Just double check that I haven't missed anything, right?
No.
So we are down to voting on approval of the application from the beginning, correct? Christy?
Yeah, don't we pick up where we made a motion to approve the application?
Yes, that's why I'm saying, Chris, did you make the motion? Anyway,
Did
doesn't
at some
matter.
point, I can make it again.
Well, no, but at the beginning,
We made that motion, and we have a condition that Mr. Kosovad from the DOT, was it, Kimberly?
Yes.
Is aware of the situation and is okay with it, approves it.
oh, yes, Jamie.
Just a question. I went back and looked because Ms. Keen and I were both on the emails with Mr. Kozabat. And so I looked and he may have emailed just me back in response to the last question that she asked. So I guess my question is, in what form of communication does the board, I can forward the email chain, or if you require a new communication from him, in what form would that be? An email to the code enforcement officer, a letter to the planning board? Like, in what form would you want that? Because I think he's willing to do that. He's done that multiple times. I guess we just need to know exactly in what form do you need that communication.
I think we just need a letter to put in the record saying that he has in fact clearly understood and approved it. So a letter. Kim, what would you say? Can he just forward you the email, or do you want a printed letter?
Yeah, he could forward an email because when I sent it to Mr. Kosabud there, he read it, but he didn't respond to it. And then I sent him another one today, asking him, and he didn't respond today. So I know he read it, but he didn't respond to it.
Okay. Yeah, there might be some, I think there's, in just looking at the thread, there may be some confusion because his first email was 4 or 5 paragraphs, and I think giving approval.
There was one for the climbing wall, but I asked him an additional question for clarification, making sure that he understood that it was also going to be a social and educational use for, potential off-season group nights, celebrations, and trainings. That's what I asked him to make sure he was understanding this is what it was, that it wasn't just a climbing wall being used daily. This looks like something you're gonna have, like you said, group night celebrations and trainings, offered for the fire department. And I wanted just to make sure he understood that you were proposing that as well with your climbing wall. And you responded to me that you had explained it to him, but I didn't hear anything back from him when I emailed him.
Correct. He was emailed the exact language that was in our application describing it. And again, I think we were inartful in the way we were rating it. So the point was that all those groups would be using the climbing wall versus.
Yeah, I just needed clarification from him because he didn't state that. He just said a small climbing wall in his email.
Right.
That's
Okay.
all. Okay?
So we started off with a motion to approve the application, and then we need the person who made the motion to add that there's the conditional.
That was Christie.
Yeah, that was me. Do I need to restate that?
Just, I guess it's just that you made the motion, and so that condition gets tacked onto your motion.
Yes. Yes, I agree.
And then whoever seconded it, do you,
That was Dave. That was Dave.
Dave, do you still second it with the addition?
Yes.
So all those in favor, Christie,
Anastasia, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
and Meredith Randolph, aye. So there you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
No problem. The next item is, do we have any other orders of business to discuss? Doesn't sound like it. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Tracy
Yes.
Keller, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
We have a second.
Second, Anastasia, second.
All those in favor, Tracy,
Tracy Keller, I.
Christy,
Anastasia, I.
Dave,
Dave Ashmore, aye.
and Meredith Randolph, aye. Good night, all.
See ya.
Thank you, Meredith, for sharing. And thanks, Tracy, for
Bubbling through.
showing. All right.
Night.
Good night,